Hey everybody, welcome back to Nga, yet again. Over the course of my journey through the Conlang community, the main opposition that I have encountered has been a specific type of attitude that I like to call the real linguist attitude, especially in those quotation marks with the text varying from capitalized to lowercase. You know, those people who genuinely believe that conlanging is like a waste of time that shouldn't exist. Some of those who think that fictional languages detract from the legitimate study of real languages. Linguists study natural language as it exists in the world. A conlang is not a natural language that exists in the world. Studying a conlang as a linguist is the equivalent of giving a biologist a plastic houseplant and asking it what it can tell us about biology. Every aspect of that plastic houseplant is a replication of some feature that already exists in the wild. But imagine that the designer of this fake houseplant decided to throw in whatever house or other big-brained, high-level complaints about the subject in the community. But on a much more widespread level, most people in society just don't get conlanging, and by that I'm referring to all your friends and family in real life who have literally no idea what the hell you're doing, spitting out adjectives and clicks in the corner while you're on your laptop. Because my family definitely doesn't get what I spend my time doing, other than the fact that the whole thing is just kind of out of a grudge for them destroying the country that I built in my backyard back in 2014, but, you know, that's just a me thing. Maybe my friends who do D&D understand the practicality of conlangs for D&D, but I've only ever been able to connect genuinely on the concept of conlanging with other conlangers, either online or in that conlanging class my thesis director created because of me doing auto-june. Anyway, I've been trying to come up with an accurate summary that could sum up to both the real linguists and to my family and friends what the act of conlanging is, and I've been thinking about this for a while. I'm always brought back to this one central image that I remember seeing every day in my middle school band classroom, and it was just this big old poster that read all enthusiastically like, "Music, it's a language." And yeah, this is true, or at least it's a paralanguage. It's a system where bits of information can be conveyed between life forms in a systematic way in order to give off different meanings productively. But what I see when I look at this is the solution to the kind of metaphor that I'm trying to create here, and that is that language is music. Okay? If you spend any time learning another language, you're taught how to use the language in an extremely systematic way, a series of basic patterns that gradually become more and more complex as you learn and practice. Each one has a certain set of sounds that can be assembled and altered in different contexts that make up different words, fit together into sentences. The rhythm, the cadence, the volume, the pitch, and the tone can impact the emotional context of the sounds emitted, and even completely change the meaning of what's been uttered. So, languages, in general, have finite bits of content, in the form of sound or otherwise, that can be productively assembled into all kinds of different shapes and varieties, numbering in the higher factorials. Basically, language is an activity that sentient life forms can use to craft new things out of the ether, just like music. So, where am I going with this? I've just equated the act of learning and using language with the act of doing the same with music. And people tend to say that music is a branch of the nebulous term that is art. Yeah, art, like drawing, painting, photography, dancing, music, etc. Which makes sense. It's an activity that requires creativity, practice, and forethought. But for some reason, making music, assembling notes, rhythm, and putting it together through an instrument is a brilliant creative art. But what if somebody assembles their own sounds, grammar, and pragmatics and puts it together through a vocal tract or signs or any other means? Is it hailed as a brilliant creative art? I mean, not really, unless it ends up on a TV show, or if you're J.R.R. Tolkien.
I don't get it. When is stuff art?
Hey, guys, if I may, I think I can sum this all up.
The point is, our society definitely doesn't value conlanging like it does for other art forms. Yeah, that's right, art forms, because conlanging is art. It's an art form. I mean, it makes sense why, over the course of human history, conlanging has only recently been an activity widely adopted enough to host a community. Like, Esperanto became a thing, but most people who know about Esperanto today don't think of it as a piece of art. But in reality, the act of constructing a language is indeed the act of creating artwork, like 100%. Just like a painter draws inspiration from what human eyes see and perceive in order to craft a painting. Just like a songwriter takes inspiration from sounds and emotions that certain sequences of frequencies can create in order to craft a song. A conlanger takes inspiration from language and all of its intricacies and crafts something new out of it. It takes a lot of mental effort, it takes a lot of practice to improve. It's art. It's just a relatively new form of art in the world. So, if somebody claims that constructing languages is a waste to the world that impedes on the reputation of the real linguists studying real languages, just remember that by extension, it's like a person with a functioning eye bashing a person for drawing a picture because it wastes and corrupts the reputation of what natural eyes can see, or a person flicking the metal bars on a fence saying that using music gives sound in general a bad name. It's not a good argument when you acknowledge the arbitrarity of all of it.
If you want to buy that plastic houseplant for your house, go ahead and do that. But don't parade in front of a biologist and claim it tells us about biology.
So, in conclusion, like, conlanging is a perfectly valid form of artistic expression, and nobody on Reddit can take that fact away from you. And if your parents and friends don't get it, I guess attempt to explain the pieces and how they fit together before they inevitably get bored because society has conditioned them to do so. Or maybe you could help make people understand it a little bit better. Like, someday conlang will be a normie thing to do, and if I contribute to that kind of transformation, I will be satisfied. I just wanted to make this video because not many people outside of our conlanging community just really understand or are willing to accept the idea that making languages is just another genre of artistic expression. I think that's really important for people to know, especially going forward as more and more people do conlanging. It's something that we do, and it's how we get our creativity through. So, you know, it's a thing. So show this to any dissenters, see if it changes their minds, and I'll be expecting to see them in the comments afterwards if you do. But either way, I hope you enjoyed this video. Well, it wasn't too much of an in-depth explanation, but I think this was important for me to say. That's all I've got to say for today, except, you know, like, comment, subscribe, almost to 1,000 subscribers. It would absolutely make my life ooze with excitement if I was to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So yeah, that's all for me. Okay, everyone, not out. Mwah, mwah. Goodbye.